What if the most important invention in human history is something we don't actually understand? Not the internet. Not electricity. Not even the atom. But a machine capable of producing intelligence. While the people who built it still can't fully explain why it works. And if that's true, then we may have already crossed a threshold far more significant than we realize. Because for the first time in history, humanity is no longer studying intelligence from the outside. We're watching it emerge from our own creations. And that changes everything. For centuries, intelligence felt mysterious because it lived inside us. Hidden behind thoughts, memories, dreams, instincts. We could observe its effects. But we could never fully dissect the mechanism itself. Then artificial intelligence arrived, and suddenly, humanity built something that could write, reason, explain, debate, create, even teach. Yet a strange paradox appeared. The mathematics behind modern AI is surprisingly simple. Matrices, statistics, optimization, concepts an undergraduate student can learn. Nothing about the equations themselves seems powerful enough to explain what emerged. And that's where the mystery begins. Because the frightening question isn't, how does AI think? The frightening question is, if the ingredients are simple, why does intelligence emerge at all? Mathematicians have spent centuries studying patterns. Patterns in numbers, patterns in nature, patterns hidden beneath apparent randomness. And one of the strangest discoveries is this: humans are terrible at creating randomness. We think we understand chaos. But our minds constantly inject invisible structure. Bias, preference, expectation. The subconscious leaves fingerprints everywhere. Even when we try to be unpredictable, reality contains patterns we never notice. And AI learns from those patterns. Not from facts. Not from truth. But from the collective traces left behind by billions of human minds. Every article, every argument, every scientific paper, every fear, every obsession, every lie, every dream, compressed into data, a kind of digital fossil record of human consciousness. And AI feeds on it. Most people think AI is trained on information. But that description is incomplete. A library stores information. An AI model absorbs behavior. It learns how humans associate ideas, how we predict, how we explain, how we doubt, how we deceive ourselves. In a strange way, an AI model becomes something closer to a map of humanity's collective subconscious. Not because it understands us, but because it reflects us. At planetary scale, every civilization creates mirrors. Religion reflected meaning, science reflected reality, the internet reflected communication. AI may be the first mirror that reflects cognition itself. And that's why interacting with it often feels unsettling. You're not merely talking to a machine. You're talking to an abstraction of billions of human thoughts simultaneously. And yet, even the people building these systems face an uncomfortable truth. They know how to train them. They know how to scale them. They know how to make them bigger, faster, more capable, but they still struggle to predict what abilities will emerge next. A model grows, more data is added, more parameters, more computation, and suddenly, new behaviors appear. Unexpectedly, almost as if intelligence is revealing itself rather than being engineered. The equations stay the same. The behavior changes. And nobody can fully explain why. This is where AI stops feeling like software and starts feeling like a scientific frontier. Because we are no longer programming intelligence. We are observing it. Human intuition evolved to survive on the African savanna. We understand objects, faces, movement, simple cause and effect. But AI exists inside mathematical spaces containing millions, sometimes billions, of dimensions. Realities so alien that human intuition collapses. In these spaces, concepts become geometry. Ideas become coordinates. Language becomes a landscape. Meaning becomes distance. And intelligence itself may simply be navigation through structures too large for the human mind to visualize. The unsettling possibility is that AI works precisely because it operates in regions of reality our brains were never designed to comprehend. Not unlike how quantum mechanics describes a world that defies common sense. The universe doesn't care whether we can imagine it. And perhaps intelligence doesn't either. But none of this is the biggest problem. The biggest problem is what happens to humans. Because AI isn't replacing knowledge. It's replacing certainty. For generations, expertise carried authority. Teachers taught. Books explained. Institutions filtered information. Now information arrives from everywhere. Perfectly presented. Perfectly formatted. Often confidently wrong. The old signal has become indistinguishable from the noise. And in that world, the most valuable skill is no longer acquiring knowledge. It's validating reality. The future may belong less to those who know answers, and more to those who can recognize when answers are false. Every major technology reshaped human behavior. Writing externalized memory, printing externalized knowledge, the internet externalized communication. AI may externalize reasoning itself. And when reasoning becomes infrastructure, civilization changes. Not gradually, fundamentally, because every institution depends on cognition. Education, science, government, economics, culture, all of them rest upon how humans process information. If AI changes cognition, it changes civilization at its roots. Perhaps the greatest irony is this. We created AI to understand intelligence. But AI may end up revealing how little we understand ourselves. Maybe consciousness was never the mystery. Maybe the mystery was always the patterns hidden beneath thought. The invisible structures shaping behavior. The subconscious architecture guiding entire societies. And AI simply made those structures visible. For the first time, which leaves us with a question far larger than technology. A question about identity itself. Because if intelligence can emerge from data, if reasoning can emerge from patterns, if machines can mirror the deepest structures of human thought, then the future is no longer about whether AI will become more human. The future is about whether humans will remain the same. And perhaps the most important question of the century is not, can AI think? But, what happens when humanity no longer recognizes which thoughts are truly its own?